Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of the Power Within podcast. My name is Trevor Evers. I'm your host. And this week we have a fantastic guest. Her name is Caitríona Morrison. Now, Caitriona is from the Hypnosis and Therapy Centre. She's based in Dublin 12. And she's qualified with diplomas in NLP and Life Coaching. And she's developed her skills further with diplomas in hypnotherapy, mind coaching, and advanced certificates in conversational hypnosis. She also has a diploma in mind coaching, and she's certified as a practitioner of the Simpsons Protocol, Ericksonian Hypnotherapy and Psych-K. Now, that all sounds absolutely fantastic. So I'm sure you'll agree, folks. So I'm going to bring Caitríona in here. Caitríona, I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. How are you, Caitríona?
Hello, Trevor. Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here. I've heard some beautiful broadcasts from other people so far with you. So very well done to everybody. So this is my turn and I'm delighted to be here.
So Caitríona, it's fantastic to have you on the podcast here today. I've just gone through a couple of lines of your bio. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself and the work that you do?
Thank you, Trevor. Delighted to be here today. My God, that sounds like a great bio. You'd forget half the thing to do because you're just focusing on what am I going to do next so I can help my client, you know? So what I would say is I have added to my bow over the years because I do think it's important for my own self-development that I try different things. And if I happen to see something that gets my attention, I'll go do it. It's a bit like going to the hypnosis conference last year where we met, as you say.
Sure.
And a wonderful experience, and I'm delighted that we're in a like-minded group now, because it's lovely to be looking forward to even a Christmas party. We have a Christmas party.
That's right. Can't wait. Thanks to Sharon and Jen out there for organising it.
Absolutely.
You're brilliant.
Absolutely. And forward to meeting up with everybody. But for myself and being in business for myself, and I have a family-run business with my husband. It's called Hypnosis and Therapy Centre, and we do also other therapies as well. And we'd like to help the client in whatever way that we can. So I suppose looking back to when I first started, my husband has been doing this longer than me. He started counselling first, counselling with hypnotherapy, introduced hypnotherapy through that. And then a few years later, I was doing life coaching at the time and I was doing NLP. And then I suddenly got introduced to other things. Okay. And I've been adding to my bow since. And I love everything that I do. I meet great people. And I suppose part of all of that is using my skills now to help other people. But I remember way back when having the fear and having, how am I going to do this? How could I ever help? How could I charge people? All of that, because who am I? But I suppose you grow in yourself by understanding yourself, where you want to go, and these courses will help. But I suppose you can only do so many courses before you have to head into, I'm actually going to do this.
You have to take the jump, jump.
Yeah. And the most important thing really is finding yourself. What do you want yourself? What do I want to do in my life other than the normal things that people might do, whether it's family, whether it's 9 to 5, whether it's hobbies, whatever the case may be, and trying to fit it in and not making excuses, I can't because I have the kids, I can't because I have to work. If it's something that you really want, you can start small, taking an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours a week. But the idea would be that you would use the information that you get from the courses and give yourself all the self-help you need to help yourself find yourself first, because by finding yourself you can help other people.
Sure. And it's very unusual to have a married couple, both hypnotherapists. Would you like to tell us how that dynamic works? Do you learn off each other and so on?
I suppose we've always been the type of personalities that we are, we've always worked in jobs that that you can help people. We're always interested in kind. We see ourselves as kind people, caring people. We love our families. We love our children. I'd give 100%. My children always come first. We have 3 grown lads now, but have to say I love being a full-time mum when they were younger, and we were in a position that we could do that. Fiachra worked very hard. He had a full-time job and he did part-time, to build his own business, and then he went full-time with the courage that he had, because it got to the stage whereby he was working a full-time job but didn't have time to. He had so many hours he could put aside for business, and then he decided, I love doing this more than I love the job. But at some point he made the limp, because he built himself up with the courage and the strength and the empowerment, I suppose, that he knew his stuff, and that there were so many people out there that needed.
And I know I met both of you back in May at the Irish Hypnotherapy Conference.
Yeah.
And what strikes me and comes across is that for both of you, you really love what you do. You really love helping people, don't you?
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
And I think we learn through our children as well. I learned patience. I learned to be, to be patient, and to give them the time they needed to grow. And if I knew now if I knew then what I know now, I certainly would have, done things differently. But they've turned out okay, and they still come home to visit and all of that, So we must have done something right. But there was a time I decided that it's time I looked after myself, and I did a little bit more for myself. And I wanted to go back to work, in a sense, to help financially, so the Fiachra could go full-time as well, and that so he could do his passion, because I could see how much he loved it, and that. So we made that decision amongst ourselves. We decided this is what we do, and that's what I did. And I became a driving instructor, which I worked around the boys at the time.
Brilliant.
So as you can imagine, the sports here and there, and so I was able to do that part-time. And then when they got older into college, I went full time, and then I started adding to my bow then, and I did hypnosis then, and then I added to my bow by doing other things, because I really love having all these things I can dip into to help other people. So the most important thing I got from it is myself, and where I am myself, so that I know what I want. I have goals for the future. I have goals I've achieved. But the most important thing is giving myself self-care that I need, the time I need. I don't just mean spending money and going shopping and all of that. I mean downtime, where I'm relaxing, where I'm just doing some breath work, where I'm doing this, aerobics, going to the sauna, things like that, which I have earned. I feel I've earned. I don't feel guilty about doing these things. I think that's one thing everybody should, do for themselves, something that, that's just for them. Because, we give to our families, we give to our job, we give to everything that we do so much, that we need to find time for ourselves. And even 1 or 2 hours a week, even 1 minute of sitting in silence by yourself, and just allowing your mind to wander, and just remember the good things, be grateful for what you've got, be happy in yourself. But you can decide right now, in this moment, I want to feel happy. I can be happy. I might feel sad right now, but I can change that feeling into happiness by a choice and decision making. And that's what I learned to do: make good choices, make decisions, and make decisions that I can live with. And at the end of every day, to look back and say, yes, that was a good day. Okay, there could be some improvements, or I didn't get around to doing A, B, or C, but still feel good that I'm proud of my day, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
What do you like most about what you do?
The results that people are saying. Now, people won't always give you testimonials, because some things are really very private, and I deal with that private stuff. And a lot of people come to women because, they feel they can speak to women easier than they can speak to men, although that's not the case, but some people have that idea about it, right? But, and so I would say the pleasure I get out of helping people and seeing them move from here, going from being sometimes not realizing how negative they are, and how much they give out to themselves, and how much they're down on themselves, instead of looking at how well they have it and how good they've got. And if you got this far, knowing what you know, how much better they're going to feel, and building their confidence and their belief in themselves. That's what I really get great. Seeing the change, seeing their face change, seeing the whole demeanor change, and coming back and saying, I had a great experience. Or, you know what? I actually feel like I had a good day today. It wasn't perfect, but I had a good day. And having the energy that it brings to start tomorrow, go to bed, have a good rest, let everything go from today, and then just start again tomorrow. And none of us are perfect, so we have to allow for that. And just, once you're doing the best you can, You can't ask any more of yourself. And then just learn, and then just kind to yourself, be caring to yourself.
Yeah, that
and
makes
do what makes you
so
happy.
much sense, and it resonates with me big time, because when I started doing hypnotherapy back in 2010, in the first couple of years, I was very, let's say, I'd get very hard on myself and beat myself
Oh,
up if I
yes,
made a
yeah.
mistake. So if the results didn't go the way I wanted it to, I would be more upset than the client, you know, at times.
Yeah,
And so you have to make sure that, like, I've learned that the hard way, you know, to
yeah,
be
we
in the
all learn the
zone.
hard way.
And
And you know,
yeah,
it's in learning, it's making mistakes, it's in the negative, and things what we see as a negative thing is actually where you learn the most sometimes. And
yeah,
you free yourself up. Freeing yourself up, and I am human. I'm going to make mistakes. That's okay, because in making mistakes, it's sometimes they're the lessons you learn from the most.
absolutely. Yeah,
So we have a duty of care to ourselves and a duty of care to any client that we see, to give them our best. So in order to give our best, we have to look after ourselves.
yeah,
So it means if you expect people to pay you for a service, you've got to be expected to pay other people who are more knowledgeable than you at the time, who help you help yourself. And that's what we want for all
yeah.
our clients, to help themselves.
Mm.
So in order for us to be ready to do that, we need to look at ourselves first. You're helping yourself to help other people, and that should be your main focus. When you're seeing a client, it shouldn't be, oh God, what am I going to do? And it should be, how am I going to help my client? What does my client want? What does my client want to achieve? And
Yeah.
you know, and that's really where the focus should be on throughout the session, not in, oh God, how do I feel? And you know, I feel, oh, what am I going to say next? It's just totally zoom into what the client wants, and then
Yeah.
let, you know, your intuition take over and
And the
help
work
that
that you
client.
do, would you do a mixture of one-to-one sessions versus online sessions now? And like, do you, in your opinion, like the effectiveness of, is this the same effectiveness for both? Like, whether you see someone in person or whether you see someone online? Because I had that kind of mindset before, where I was convinced that in order to help someone to the best of my ability, I needed to kind of be in their presence, you know,
Yeah.
and do the one-to-one sessions. But that, like, I understood and have learned since then that that's not the case. That, you know, I've done smoking cessation sessions as successfully online as the same as the one-to-one sessions. So what's your opinion? What's your experience in terms
Well,
of
my
this?
opinion, my experience, and only my experience and only my opinion is it works as well either way. It is down to the therapist and how comfortable they feel with it. Now, at the beginning, as I said, at the beginning of COVID, we took a holiday. We just kind of, you know, went and just did our own thing. And I was kind of delighted having a little bit of time at home, got up on a few things. But
Yeah,
then you're sort of thinking, well, where is it going to go from here? So we got involved with our son and we put a plan together. And it took about a month for everything to kind of, you know, ringing people, old clients, saying, you know, it doesn't look like coming back any time soon. For the safety of yourselves, we're doing everything online. And say, oh, well, I'll wait till you come back, was really what everybody was saying. And then it came that, well, you know, when it's come back anytime soon. So we've set ourselves in our own mind, believe it in ourselves that, well, you know what, it works as well online as it does. Like, because we practiced with people who we knew, and we gave them a free session. We said, look, let's do a Zoom call and just see how it goes. It won't be one
yeah,
of your sessions, it'll just be. So,
yeah,
you know, we'll see how it goes. And that's how we kind of, you know, put people's mind at rest, right? We gave them free sessions at the start, just one or two, just to keep, you know, just to get started.
yeah,
And then they realized that it makes no difference, because once you close your eyes, whether you're in the room with the person or you're in Timbuktu or in Portugal or anywhere else,
yeah,
they can hear you as well as they can hear you if you're in the same room. So that's how
yeah.
we did it. And that's how we went
Brilliant.
from having no business to having a thriving business. In actual fact, I would say our business grew tenfold. during COVID, because it was something, anxiety was a huge one that people were
Yeah,
facing.
absolutely.
Fear, stress, having to work from home with children, having to work from home and not feeling very comfortable themselves on Zoom, and all of that, public speaking, all of these things. So, all of these things came and we just went with the flow. But we had to settle ourselves first. We had to make a decision ourselves that this is what we wanted. And we had to give our client what was needed. So we just got on with it.
Yeah.
But that came from us not only having the information, because again, we were brand new into this now, remember. We hadn't done Zoom. People had done one or two, I hadn't done any.
It was a bit scary for you, I'd say, at the time, was it, to push yourselves out of your comfort zones?
Once I did one or two people free,
yeah,
it didn't bother me after that. And after that, I was very excited about it, because guess what? I didn't have to travel down to the office. I didn't have to go out of the comfort of my own home.
Yeah.
I was able to, sit down 1 minute, do an hour, and then go off and do something else, and then come back and do another hour. And I actually really got into it big time, and I really loved it.
Yeah.
Now, I was always in a car anyway. I was used to a small space, when I was teaching driving. So I was used to being close with somebody. So I loved that rapport. And I suppose that's one of the reasons why it took me a while to get into hypnosis, because I loved doing that for so many years. And again, it was my comfort zone. So I just had to get comfortable then. I'd only done a few clients here or there, face to face. So really getting into Zoom is probably, I don't know whether it was easy for Fiachra, that's up to him to say at another time, but it was easy enough for me. Once I did one or two and I was comfortable about what I was saying.
But it opens up a whole new world as well, and the scope of the
100%.
clients that you can reach, like all over the world, isn't it?
Timing was brilliant as well.
Hmm.
And I knew that once they had their eyes closed, I knew that I could, help them even more. So what I used to do was I used to prepare myself a little bit beforehand. I used to have things that I said to everybody, no matter what came to me for. Because when people come, they're always going to be a little bit nervous, whether it's in face or on Zoom. So just to answer your question before I forget, we do, at the moment, I would say I still do more Zoom than I do face-to-face.
Right. Okay.
I open up to anybody who wants to come face-to-face, I do face-to-face. But anybody that is happy to do Zoom, I do Zoom. And usually people living in Dublin even want to do Zoom, because especially if they have children or they have a very busy schedule, giving up an hour is long enough without having had a half an hour on either side, or longer if they live down the country.
Yeah. And people needed it more than ever in the time.
International.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because everybody's living a very busy life. So it's up to clients then to make the choice whether they want face-to-face or they want Zoom, and then they're content. And some people say, well, do you know what? I'd like to do face-to-face. I don't think it would work for me. I said, well, that's no problem. We can arrange that. And I'd look on my calendar and do that. And I'd also say to them, but never be stuck. If you're running late, we can do it from Zoom, or you can do one or two, from Dublin, or you can do it one or two from Zoom.
Just mix it up.
So I would mix it up a little bit. And yes, you'll have the clients that only want to do face-to-face. There's plenty of people who are very happy to do Zoom, because maybe they're doing a lot of Zoom because of their work as well. They have been used to doing COVID. And I think COVID, opened up the world to everybody, not just, your immediate family. It opened up the world as in speaking to people abroad. It's a bit like, when people go away to different countries, you might speak to them at Christmas time and you might speak to them at Easter time or whatever. But now, I mean, with WhatsApp and, with all of these other inventions, we can speak to people on a regular basis. I had a son who went to Australia for 2 years. Actually, my son who does the IT. And, he was still, would you believe, he was still helping us in Australia. He was still helping us in Australia because he was able to do everything over the internet.
Yeah.
So our business was thriving during COVID when other people were afraid. Wow. And, you could probably be honest with yourself, Trevor, and say that, well, it was more about me not wanting to do Zoom, how you felt about yourself doing Zoom. And then, yes, it is a one-to-one seeing people face-to-face. But when there was a time we couldn't do it, the way we looked at it is we still wanted to help people. So how else are we going to help people? How are we going to help all these people that are in a bad way? So we decided that we would do it and try it, you know, on Zoom. And it worked.
How did you get the message out there that you were making the transition from one-to-ones to Zoom as well?
Well, we had people's phone numbers, texts. So we,
Right.
first of all, we asked people for email addresses. But we were texting them saying, you know, we can, obviously we were on the phone as well, because we do sessions and we also speak to people on the phone in between sessions. We open it up for people to call us in between their sessions. If there's anything that's going on or they're struggling in any way, they don't have to wait till their next session. They can text us, or they can WhatsApp us, or whatever the case may be, and we'll get back to them by phone. So we had that opening anyway. So we had their phone number. So we just rang everybody personally, and we asked them, would they be open to sending them a link so that we could have a chat over Zoom? You know, not a session, just a chat, so they could get familiar with using Zoom.
Sure.
And then we offered them a session on Zoom, and we went from there. And then any new clients that came in, because we advertised, you know, everybody looks at their phone, everybody was looking at Facebook back then, everybody was looking at Instagram. So we would have, you know, and Google. And if you search on the Google, you'll find us quite easily. We'd be up there at the top right, because of our Google accounts and all of that. And obviously because of the hits that we get. And we've Trustpilot now, we've added that in as well. So, you know, so that was how we got ourselves out there.
And what different ways, Caitriona, do you help people? What main issues would you be focusing in on?
Everything.
A bit of everything, yeah.
Now, the only thing is we don't do psychological disorders, people on medication for, you know, mental health issues, you know, because we, you know, and we've had one or two approaches, and we've had one or two based on the advice from their doctor. We would get a letter from them. Now, I usually let Fiachra do that because he's done counselling, he's done other stuff as well. So, you know, which, you know, I haven't done, and I feel more comfortable helping everybody else. So I would help people. We both have people with anxiety, with insomnia, with weight loss, with smoking, non-smoking, with addictions. You know, we never promise that we can get rid of addiction totally, but what we do, we promise that we can have, well, we don't promise anything. We say we can have them help themselves. And we will do, say, 3 sessions or 5 sessions. But at the end of the day, we always explain to people, you know, it's how you receive information. Like, hypnosis is not a power I have over anybody. Hypnosis is a way of learning and receiving information, and how you learn and how you receive information. Like, you can come to me and say, oh, well, now it's up to you to fix me. I'm not going to fix anybody. It's you helping yourself. But certainly I can help with the unconscious part of it.
So if I'm sitting here, like, and I'm open to getting your help, I must be at the threshold to make that change and be ready to take personal responsibility for my own success and outcome as well.
Yeah.
Would that be true?
And when you get that question, well, what if it doesn't work? Will I get a refund or whatever? And I'd say to people, well, if you went to a course and you went to college, or you went for a diploma, and you were given all this information, and everybody in the class is given the same information, not everybody is going to get same mark, because some will get a grade, an A or a B or whatever the case may be, or some will go into business immediately and some won't. So it's down to the individual, it's down to your own self-care. So I always say to people about looking after yourself, and I'd always ask them, what do you do outside of work, or what do you do outside of, you know, like socializing, or what do you do, you know, health-wise for yourself, what do you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get a little bit of background, and I'll say, well, how else can you help yourself? And when I'm doing hypnosis, I'll put in those sort of suggestions. How else can your unconsciousness help you help yourself? You know, and what other suggestions or ideas can your unconsciousness help you with to move forward in this area or that area or whatever? Taking control, making good decisions. I speak about, you know, taking back control. I speak about making good decisions. I speak about building your confidence, trust, your belief in yourself, all of them things. And I would speak about those things no matter what people come to me for.
Yeah.
I do a lot of non-content sometimes. People come for smoking, but we all know people smoke or drink or overeat because they have underlying issues. Sometimes it's peer pressure. Sometimes it's just, I started at 12 and I just can't stop. And sometimes say, well, I've tried before, I haven't tried, or I've done Michael Carr's books or whatever the case may be, and it didn't work. And I'll say, well, you haven't worked with me before. And I would say to them, you know, I always, when I ring people and I make a first call, or I get my girls to make a first call, we'll always send them on copy into our, you know, a link into our website so that they can have a look through, they can see the testimonials, they can see what we do, how we have people, and all the branches that we have, because we've so many branches. We're even branching out into business coaching, you know, and that. So there's lots of different things. We're growing in ourselves, and then we're growing in business, you know. So, but none of that is possible until you look after yourself first.
Yeah.
Because my main job is to help me, to help my family, and to help other people be the best that they can be. So my main focus when I'm looking at my client is, what do you want? And how would you like me to help you? And then based on what they say, I'll say, well, I could, you know, would you like this? Would you like that? Would you like the other? Because I don't want to. Because people are afraid that you're going to do something to them. I'm only going to help you in what you want. But in the meantime, I'm going to help you with your confidence, you know, with your self-esteem, you know, building up your trust and belief in yourself, being a bit braver and a bit more courageous in standing up for yourself, maybe in office, or, you know, could be also for maybe public speaking or whatever the case may be, you know, belief in themselves that they can stop smoking. But,
How do
you
you
know,
get the work life balance right? I mean, that's something that has been
yeah,
a challenge to me over
yeah,
the last couple of years, because it can be something where if I'm working and I'm highly motivated, sometimes you can neglect, you know, the good
yes,
things in
yeah,
life that
yeah,
make you happy. Like for me, in my case, like going up to the allotment, taking the time to do that, you know, spinning a few of my records and spending time with my kids and stuff like that, because you know you can as well, like it needs to be a balance, because you
yeah,
can get burnt out pretty quickly
absolutely.
as well.
And now that you've mentioned all of those things, is the allotment, is that something you do for you to give yourself relaxation time, to give yourself
Yeah,
rest? That's good. And you need to continue to do that. How many hours a week would you put into that?
well, I should be doing more, but because
Okay.
those weeds grow very fast. But
Okay.
no, a couple of hours. I hope to get like I
Yeah.
do my best to get up there a couple of
Yeah.
hours every week.
Great.
But it
Great.
depends, you know, it
Yeah.
can depend. This
Absolutely.
time of year, there's, you know, I wouldn't be up there as much. You know, it's
Yeah.
obviously the time of year, but around April time when you're planting
Yeah.
my potatoes and stuff like that, like be
Of
spending
course. Of course.
more
Yeah.
time up there. But you know, it's also a case this year where I had to decide and prioritize what I wanted. You know, like if you try and juggle too many balls,
Yeah. I'd
then you know
agree.
you can stress yourself out, because you know you at one point this year, you know, I was focusing on my business and my clients and getting myself out there doing videos, all the whole social media stuff and all of that comes with that. And then you know I have two children, 10 and 8, and
Wonderful
you know
children.
you're
Yeah.
doing the school
Gorgeous.
runs and you're spending time with
Yeah.
them and you're bringing them
Yeah.
here and there.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
in between, you're trying to squeeze in things like the allotment and different things. So it can be a case like this year where like you have to say, right, I need to focus on, you know, one, two, maybe three things, rather than having a load of things. You know, you're trying to keep all these balls in the air, because, you know, that's not going to be sustainable
Yeah. And I
long
mean, that
term.
is the secret, finding out, you know, trying to work out, how am I going to do this? And it's, everybody is in the same dilemma, that we all only have 24 hours a day, and we all need a certain amount of rest. Okay. We all need to have time with your family. I suppose, you know, one thing you need to do is sit down with your partner and decide, you know, I want to do this,
Yeah.
and that you both commit to it rather than just one person. Because you don't want her ever to feel that you're doing it just an excuse to get away from the kids or not do something around the house or whatever. So there has to be a commitment that so many hours a week that, you know, you can, and then you work out, say 5 hours a week, 2 nights a week, half a day on a Saturday, whatever the case may be, right? That this is the time that no matter what, you know, you're aside for business, unless the funeral or something major, you know, these are things that come up, right? So what I would say to you is, you've got to decide within yourself, what can I do? What can I stretch myself to? I'm on picking up kids. I'm on this. I'm on that. So literally go and sit down with your 20, well, with your say 8 in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, whatever it is before you go to bed, and
Yeah.
you know, and then look at what you have to do. Put down what you have to do first, right? And then you put down what you know, what you have to, as in work, as in children, as in wife, as in, you know, other commitments you have. See what's left. And you've got to be honest with yourself. Is there much time left? And in that time, where's my own time for my allotment, or my time for a walk, or my time for just breathing and
Or just reading a
relaxing?
book, you know, a non-hypnosis
Reading a
book
book,
or a
whatever
non-work
it
book,
is you
just
want.
picking up a book, reading it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then you've got to say, well, what time is left? And you've got to be realistic. Sometimes there isn't enough time right now. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit of time when the children are small. Or if you really have a passion for something, you've got to decide, well, this is more important than that. But let it be made on, let your decision be made because it's what you want, not because of fear. Oh, I have a great excuse not to spend 5 hours doing this because I'm too busy doing other things. We can all lose time. I lose time. I think losing time is doing something, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's not.
It is.
It's nothing. I had a girl say to me yesterday, she works full time, you know, she's a nurse and she does all sorts of shifts. She's just moved into a lovely apartment with her boyfriend, and you know, she doesn't have much time for herself. And she said when she sat down the other day, she felt guilty. I said, guilty for what? For watching 2 hours of TV? And she said, yeah. I said, but look at all the other things you're doing. You need to have you time. But it's a matter of you prioritizing what's important for you in your life and being honest with yourself and not using fear or guilt or regrets, you know, or any of those, you know, feelings to stop you from doing what you really want. If you really want to do it, you'll find 2 hours.
Yeah,
You'll
exactly.
find time for one client. Even one client a week is better than no clients a week, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Or that 1 hour that you spend with a client, you spend, am I going to do this? Or ask somebody for help. We're all here to help. You know, what I would say if somebody was coming to me, because I've done life coaching as well, and you know, before I did hypnosis, I would say, okay, write down what you have to do. I want to see what you do. I want to see where, you know, and you always find hours that are flipped the way that could be for self-care work.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about doing something else. I'm talking about self-care work, because if you don't look after yourself, Trevor, and if you don't build up your confidence, your trust, your belief in yourself, you're going nowhere fast. And we always have excuses not to do it. We've always excuses. And they're in our heads, they're real, and they are real because that's our belief at the time. So we need to change, look at our habits and our behaviors and change and look at what we want. If the word was your oyster, yes, you've got a couple of kids, we can't give them back. And we have a wife or a husband, so we can, or a partner. So we're kind of stuck with them unless we're not, if you know what I mean. Right?
Yeah.
So there's things we have to do. So what else? What time is left? And I would say to people, even a half an hour, 20 minutes every day to yourself is taking a breath.
Yeah.
1 or 2 minutes of breath work, maybe just breathing in, breathing out, closing your eyes, breathing in for 3, hold for 2, release for 3, whatever combination of breath work you want to do. And just imagine sitting on the chair for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and just building that up to a minute. That's the longest minute.
Yeah. It's a little time that makes a big
do.
difference. And I'm sure you have
Yeah.
experience as well. And
Absolutely.
coming to me.
I've raised 3 kids.
Well,
I've raised 3.
Yours are grown up now, are they?
Yeah, mine are grown up, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
you don't look. It's like anything. When you stop one part, you fill it with something else. So there's always something to be done.
Yeah.
So as of about 10 years ago, I decided my children were 31, 29, and 26. So they were 10 years younger, right? So when I still had one maybe doing junior cert, I always had a junior and a leaving cert for two lots of juniors and leaving certs together. And people saying, how do you stay sane? Well, actually, it's up to them to do the work. I remember one day putting 2 bottles of Rescue Remedy on the table, right? One in front of the junior cert, one in front of the leaving cert. And we were all at the table. And they both looked at me, and my eldest son, who was started college, and he picked up the 2 bottles. He put them one in front of Fiachra and one in front of me. He says, "Mom and Dad, I think you need this more than we do." You see?
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
but the important thing is when I'm working with my client, I give 100% of my time to my client.
Yeah.
And I commit myself to my client. And I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about my client the best I can. And I allow my intuition to help me. But in the early stages, it is a matter of choice for you and decisions for you and any other person starting out fresh. It's not going to be easy, especially when there's more than just you to look at. And I suppose sometimes, am I really doing it for the kids? Am I doing it for the kids? Or am I not doing it because I want to spend time with the kids? And finding the balance that works for you and your family.
Brilliant.
But
Caitriona, I've really enjoyed having this conversation here with you today. And, it's been brilliant. But at that time again, and just keeping one eye on the time, it's nearly time to say goodbye. Is there any parting words of wisdom you'd like to share with us before you say goodbye?
What I would say is we all need to look inside ourselves. We've all got to decide, what do we want for ourselves? And some people say, oh, well, I can't be selfish. It's not being selfish. What you're doing is you are being true to yourself. You're also taking into account time of family, time at work, time with everything else you've got to do. And where is me time? If you're doing all of these things for other people, what are you doing for you? And I'm not saying 8 hours a day. I'm talking about a minute, 2 minutes, building it to 5 minutes, and 2 or 3 times a week, having an hour away and doing your own thing, whatever. So that's why no matter what people come for me, I build up their confidence, their trust, their belief, building up their empowerment, and anything else that I feel is appropriate for them. But I always ask them first, would you like me to help you with this? Because I always say to people, I can't make you do something you don't want to do. It's not like, on stage hypnosis where you're going to quack like a duck or whatever. I say to them, you're going to be sitting in a chair, you're going to be relaxed, you're going to be relaxing your body, and that'll just be like, you're having a doze on the chair. That's it. Well, you'll remember everything I say, because your unconscious will be open to taking in any information, but it will only take in the information that you want it to. And I kind of explain things at the beginning of the session like that, the first session, obviously,
That's a great way of relaxing your clients, isn't it? When they come in.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah. That's what I do, whether they come in or they're on Zoom. And I say I always work it to whatever place. If they're on on Zoom, I'd say now if in the comfort of your own home, usually sitting on a nice comfortable couch. Some people like to sit in their office chair because they've I'd like you to have so that if your head wants to rest, you're not kind of lost in it, and you're not going to have breaky neck. If it's a young person, it's no bother. It's just if it's an older person, I always conscious of their head and they're falling out of the chair, whatever. And I said, for some people, they might be doing insomnia. So I said, well, if you want to lie in your bed, I'm content with that. This is very private, confidential. It's not being recorded. It's whatever said is said. And we can start off sitting on a couch, and then if you feel comfortable and you want to hop onto the bed, we can do it that way. But you're not going to sleep. You're just listening to what I'm going to say. And it just depends. Fantastic. What you see. It's really, if you just focus on what the client needs and what the client wants, your nerves will go, because it's not about you, it's about them. Okay.
Great stuff. Caitriona, thanks very much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it. And best of luck with everything.
It's been lovely speaking with you, Trevor. It's lovely. It's lovely speaking with you. And I really appreciate being able to give, even if anybody gets one nugget from that.
Thanks very
much. You can
much.
see I'm very passionate about everything that I do. So, I'd help anybody I can, the best way I can.
Thanks very much, Caitriona. And again, it's been great having you on the podcast, and we've had a great discussion. Thanks very much. Keep up the great work. And so we will see you in a couple of weeks at the Christmas party.
You will indeed.
Look forward to it. It's going
Absolutely,
to be great.
100%. And anybody that's on the fence about going, make a decision. You're in control of what you want to do. And when you look at the prices, they're all included for everything, for the meal and everything else. So just make sure you book in, or at least check it out. And there's a lot of fun people going, you know. It won't be all about work. You'll have a few hours of work in a sense of just, you know, catching up on a few things. And they're always amazing. Never, that's why we're so passionate what we do. It's never work. It's just enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's just spending good quality time with nice people.
And getting the message out about
Like-minded people.
Exactly. And getting the message out about the different ways we can help people. You know, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people listening and watching this podcast that aren't hypnotherapists, that are going to take a lot from what you've said here today and the discussion that we've had. So thanks very much again. And until next time.
Welcome.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Trevor. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Caitriona, take care. Folks, it's that time again to say goodbye. So until next time, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we see you on the next podcast.